be okay. We're going to make sure we're not echoing. I think we're going to be okay because I'm just going live on one, but we're live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok this evening. Yeah, with a V, you're awesome. Thank you for asking if I'm recording because this whole new Be Live thing is new to me, and I think it automatically saves and records. Michael, maybe you could ask Haley, if you could text Haley and ask her. If Be Live automatically records and saves. It appears that it does. But so you guys, we're gonna go live and talk about buying land and building with your VA home loan benefit. This is, something that we frequently do. And the whole reason we do this is because we understand our military families don't receive enough information about their VA home loan benefit. You got the YouTube notification. Yay, with the V. That's awesome. Bo knows. Quick question. And Mike's going to be moderating. He's going to be answering questions on TikTok. I'm going to be answering questions on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So we're going to see how this goes while we're not on Zoom, right? So we didn't go on Zoom with this one. This is all like, we're becoming high tech. So this is all streaming on a streaming platform. So for those of you youngins that already know this, sorry, we are making ourselves sound old, but the whole goal here is to be able to answer your questions, give you enough information about buying land and building with your VA loan so that you guys understand how to start the process. How do you go about this process? What do you do? How does this work? What's your availability? And, you're going to hear from real estate agents that maybe this program doesn't exist. You're going to hear from other lenders that maybe this program doesn't exist. You're probably going to have other loan officers tell you they don't have access to it or they can't do it, or maybe it's better for you to just buy something that's already existing, which none of those things are true, unfortunately. But we want to make sure that you guys have the facts and the truth. So we teach this class. It's all about the one-time close, custom construction loan. So first of all, let's define what is custom construction, okay? Because there's buying a home from a builder in a neighborhood that the builder's building. That's one type of construction. The builder building that and financing it themselves would just be a regular VA loan. You would just be doing a regular VA loan. Once the house is 100% complete, then you finance the property with a regular VA loan. And so that is just a regular construction, transaction, and it's not a custom construction loan. You're not financing the construction. Then you have the one-time close custom construction where you're actually financing the construction of your home. You're picking the builder, you're finding your land with your real estate agent, right? You can also use your real estate agent to find the builder, and we're going to go through finding a builder and how to find a builder. We can do this in all states but Alaska. Okay, so we have the VA one-time close custom construction loan, and we have the ability to help clients in every state but Alaska. Okay, so Alaska right now is off the books or off topic. We're not allowed to use Alaska for the one-time close. We can lend regular VA loans in Alaska. Okay, so but right now the one-time close is not available in Alaska, probably because Alaska is so remote. And we do have our VP of construction actually will travel around the country and go look at these construction projects as they're being built. And it's one way that he keeps the builders accountable, and he makes sure that the builders are holding true to what the builders have committed to do. And their subcontractors, that they're managing their subcontractors, and the construction projects are being completed on time. So that's the difference between custom construction. You're financing the construction as the buyer, as the VA buyer, or just new construction. You're just financing the home once the house is 100% complete. With custom construction, you're actually financing the home, and the day that you close on that construction loan is nothing has happened. The house has not even been started at that point, okay? So you're closing, if you're buying land, you're closing on that construction loan, and you're paying off the land, and that's where we're gonna start getting into the actual presentation, where I show you what the details of that look like. So let me just move my screen real quickly because I just realized it's not going to let me move onto the next page without me having my screen separated. So, okay. So let's talk about it. What are the specs of the VA one-time close construction loan? So with a VA loan, you can go up to $1 million at 100% financing, 0 down. Okay. You can't watch me live on Ernesto. You can't watch it live on Instagram. Oh, that's not good. We did have it set up for Instagram. I don't know, Haley or Annie, if you guys are watching and you can check out Instagram for me and see what's going on there, that would be lovely. I see you guys on Facebook and TikTok. I don't on Instagram. Okay, so my team just reached back out and said, yeah, they're not seeing it on Instagram for whatever reason. Instagram requires that you go through this process of stream key. Now, let me ask you a question, Ernesto. Are you looking on VALoanBish on Instagram, or are you looking at Brookie's Stamgram? Because I have a private Instagram, and that's where I have this. I think this is connected to the private. But Annie, if you can double check that for me and see which one I connected it to. I was actually going to get rid of my Instagram, my business Instagram, because I don't really go on there much. Ernesto, yeah, I have 2 Instagrams, so we're just trying to figure out which one are you on, the VALoanBish Instagram or Brookie's Stamgram. Okay, back to the specs of the loan. Up to $1 million, it's 0 down. If you go over $1 million, it's going to be 5% down. So you can go to $2 million without having an exception. If we go over $2 million, we have to get an exception from our construction department. So can it be done? Yes, absolutely. We just finished a beautiful home in Kalispell for a retired general. Yeah, so we are financing properties all across the country, and yes, over $2 million. You can build a 2 to 4 unit multifamily property. Also, you can build a stick-built house, and we're going to go through what else you can build in another slide where we talk about all the different property types that you can build with the construction loan. Yes, we'll talk about barndominiums. We'll talk about manufactured homes, modular homes, log homes, all of that stuff. But yes, you can do a multifamily property, 2 to 4 units using the VA one-time close construction loan, which is pretty sweet. And then a 30 and a 15-year loan term are available. So you can lock in a 30 or 15-year term. We're going to talk about what that looks like, locking in your interest rate, because obviously there's a construction loan and then there's the permanent loan. And how does this work? This is a one-time close. And I'm going to go through the benefits of a one-time close versus the 2-time close, so that you can see the difference in why those are different and how they're treated differently. No payments during construction. This is a huge benefit, okay? There's no payments during construction. So you, as the military, active duty, or veteran, you are not allowed to make payments while the house is being built, which is an incredible savings for most people who cannot afford to pay for their housing expense on a house that they're living in, whether you own it or you're renting it, and pay for this house expense on a new home that you're building that you're not living in yet. So this is one of the things I love most about the VA one-time close construction loan. You do not make construction payments. Now, is there interest accruing? Yes, there still is interest accruing during the construction loan. And it is included in what's called a soft cost and an interest reserve calculation. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a later slide so you guys can see that interest reserve calculation and understand how that is created and how it's calculated. But the best thing is you're not allowed to make payments during construction. So that's really good. Now, if you're one of those borrowers who's like, I wanted to make payments during construction, I don't want interest accruing, then good news for you. We can just have you put a little bit, what you would be paying for the construction payments. We can have that put down as a down payment at the time of closing. So in theory, you're not financing that amount. You're just paying it up front. Okay. So, now let's talk about, there's some tiers on your down payment and the credit score requirement. So if you're going 0 down up to 766, 550 for a loan amount, requires a 620 minimum credit score. So regular VA loans with us, we do not have a minimum credit score for our regular VA loans. However, the custom construction one-time close does, because it's a unique program and it has unique costs. And it has risk involved that the lender doesn't actually receive the guarantee from the VA, because remember, the VA does not actually guarantee the loan, right? So, or excuse me, they don't lend the money, they guarantee the loan. So the VA is not giving you the money, the lender is giving you the money. The VA wrote the guidelines for the program. We have to follow the guidelines, but the VA is just guaranteeing the money to us. So the guarantee does not get issued until after construction is 100% completed. Therefore, there's additional risk to the lender. So that's why there are some overlays, credit score overlays to the program. You have to have a 55% DTI max DTI, and VA actually requires that we receive an automated loan approval on these loans, on these one-time close construction loans. So we have to get automated loan approval. If you go over 766, 551 to $1 million, you have to have a 640 minimum credit score. And you have to have a 55% DTI cap. So no higher than a 55% debt to income ratio cap. Again, those are overlays specifically because this program just has a little bit more risk involved. And then if you're over $1 million, $1,001 to $2 million, you have to have a 660 minimum credit score, and the debt to income ratio cap is 50% of your income, of your gross income, okay? And we can calculate that for you. That's part of our pre-approval process. We will absolutely run through those numbers when we're pre-approving borrowers. And this is part of the research and the due diligence that you want to do up front, because you want to make sure that you know what your budget is. And we'll talk about that in a minute, why that's so important with a one-time close, even more important with a one-time close than it is a regular house that you're going to go shop for. And then there's no maximum acreage. This is a question we get asked a lot because a lot of lenders do have an overlay where they cap the acreage on the one-time close or cap the acreage on a regular VA loan, meaning you can't finance more than 20 acres. You can't finance more than 30 acres. There are mortgage companies out there that are overlaying the VA loan and saying that. We do not have an acreage cap. So if you found a piece of property that had 240 acres and you want to build a property on it, as long as the house appraises with that acreage, we're good to go. We will not cap that acreage requirement. Okay. So the only time there's a down payment is if you're going over $1 million, right? $1 million is where you're going to go 5% down becomes the down payment. If you stay under $1 million, no down payment. What type of properties can you build? So first of all, you can build a modular home. A modular home is different than a manufactured home. A manufactured home is built in a factory, and it's placed on a cart or a vehicle frame. And it is not a regular vehicle frame, but just like a frame. And it is actually brought on site to the building site, and it is married together with the marriage line. So you have different sections. If it's a triple wide, you're going to have 3 sections. If it's a double wide, you have 2 sections. They're married together with the marriage line on the interior of the home, which is where you'll have, a contractor come in and tape and texture together the marriage line, and then they do that on the flooring as well. And that's what brings it together and seals the manufactured home. And they actually have manufactured homes come out of the factory with a chattel or a personal property title. So it's kind of like a vehicle title. It is not real estate property until it is affixed to land, and title has to be eliminated because it comes with an actual car. It comes with a title like a car title. A modular home is different. A modular home is also built in a factory, but the modular home is built in sections, and then those sections are installed and connected on site. So similar to a manufactured home, but they're installed and connected onto a permanent foundation. And that permanent foundation, it automatically becomes real estate property when a modular home is finished and 100% constructed. A manufactured home, however, does not. So you have to go through detitling work with the state and the local authorities to be able to detitle that manufactured home. You can also build multifamily. Multifamily, 2, 3, up to 4 units using the one-time close custom construction loan. Now, with the VA loan, you can finance 6 units, up to 6 units, plus 1 commercial unit. So technically 7 units with 2 veterans purchasing together that are not occupying the same unit. So those 2 veterans can't be married because they would not be able to occupy the same unit. So yes, you can do that on a existing building, but we cannot do that with a one-time construction loan. The one-time close construction loan is a cap of 4 units on the multifamily property type. You can build a 3D printed home, which is crazy. We haven't done one yet, but they are allowed. You can build a log home. You can build a barn dominium. So this is a question, one of the most common questions that we get nowadays is, can we do barn dominiums? Because a lot of mortgage companies will not do barn dominiums. Even if they're existing, they won't do barn dominiums. And then they definitely won't do one-time close construction barn dominiums, but we do allow for that. And same with like kit homes. The minimum square footage has to be larger than 750 square feet. So whatever you build, the actual living square footage, interior square footage of the living quarters has to be over 750 square feet finished, right? Not the garage. Now on a barndominium, some of the unique requirements are with a barndominium, you cannot have the shop be larger than the square footage of the entire building, larger than the square footage of the living space. So if your living space, your interior finished living space is 1,800 square feet, your shop cannot be 2,000 or 2,500 or 5,000 square feet. The shop has to be smaller than your interior square footage that you're living in, okay? And a lot of that's probably for value because, and then also they don't want commercial use of the space. So VA wants it to still be a residential property. So they don't want you having like a mechanic shop that's open to the public with a sign outside that is zoned commercially. They want it to be zoned residential. You can still have a shop, right? Obviously, that's why most people want to shop, is they want to be able to work on their vehicles, store their vehicles, potentially tinker, rebuild cars, build brand new cars, like whatever it is, you're allowed to do all that. It just has to be more of like a hobby. And then single family homes, regular stick-built single family homes, totally allowed. I had somebody ask me recently, can you do this in a neighborhood, in a subdivision? Yes, you can. Does not have to be out on rural property. It can be in town on a vacant lot. It can be in a subdivision, a PUD on a vacant lot, and it can be rural, away from town, away from people. So that's what type of property you can build. And just waiting for my presentation to move. So a quick review of the guidelines. Obviously, we talked about the credit score requirements. We talked about the debt to income ratio requirements. Now, when it comes to property requirements, there's a lot of unique things that you can do with the VA one-time close. I think one of the most important things, and something that you'll hear from us a lot, is if the appraiser can find comparable sales for whatever it is that you're building, we can likely do it. So like if you want a bunker in your house, you can likely do that using the VA one-time close. We haven't done it yet, but we have asked, is that allowed? And you can do it. It just has to be something that the appraiser can appraise. You can do a separate shop, separate from the main home. You can do an ADU, which is an accessory dwelling unit, or some people call it a mother-in-law or a carriage house or something like that. You can build the main house. The main house can be 3,000 square feet. The ADU has to be smaller than the main house, okay? So, and you're limited to one ADU with a custom construction loan. So you can't build a compound where you have a main home and then 4 other smaller homes. You can only do the main home and one ADU and then your shop, right? So that is something that is viable. Obviously, it has to appraise. You have to be able to put everything together, and it has to meet VA requirements for minimum property standards. Let's go into the details of the construction loan. How is the budget determined? Okay. So the budget is going to, first of all, my biggest message, and I posted a video about this tonight. So if you guys saw it, this will sound familiar. The first thing that you need to do is always get pre-approved. And the reason why that's so important with these construction loans is because you're really reverse engineering your budget in the project. You cannot start with, I'm going to go out and start looking at homes, and then I'm going to look at land, and I'm going to find a builder, and I'm going to do all these things, and then I'm going to go get approved by the lender. Because what happens, and we've seen it time and time again, you go out, you do all this work, you start talking to a builder, the builder starts quoting you prices, and until you actually have a quote, a written quote from a builder that's like set, please understand and know that builders' numbers are very loose, okay? We've seen that a lot. We've personally experienced that ourselves. They do not want to commit to numbers until they are actually going out and getting quotes from their subcontractors. So what we don't want to have you do is not get pre-approved and then get so far into the process. Now you've fallen in love. You have real estate agents out shopping for land. You're out shopping for land. You're paying deposits, or you're putting money down, or you're buying plans online, and you're doing all this work. And then you find out, oh, I am only pre-approved for $500,000, and I've been working my budget closer to $700,000. Well, then all of a sudden you're in a position where you're disappointed, and we don't want you to be disappointed. We're trying to save you guys emotional trauma from going through this experience the wrong way. There's the right way and there's the wrong way. And we want to make sure that we guide you the right direction. And this is one of the things that's most important about working with the right lenders. Any lender can tell you what the guidelines say. That's no big deal, right? They read the guidelines, they regurgitate the guidelines. Great. You've read the guidelines and now you know them. You're a VA loan specialist. No, not necessarily. The experience and repetition is what creates the specialty. That's what makes you a specialist, right? For all of you guys that are in the military and you went and you got training to be a specialist, you know that you don't know shit out of school until you actually start doing it, right? You might know some things, but really, honestly, until you have practical application, that's when you really learn. So get pre-approved first. The lender will be able to issue a pre-approval and give you your budget. Then once you have your budget, you can work backwards from there and start figuring out, what am I going to build? What's my budget on land? What's my budget on the construction project? Because there's some costs that we have to include in your build out. I'm going to go over those costs. You can see what that looks like in a minute. And Mike's yelling at the dog. I don't know if you guys could hear that. What's going on in there? Did he ring the bell?
No, he's like trying to eat your butter or something. Oh, yeah. Down.
Okay, so he's trying to get up on the counter and eat the butter. Step number 2, determine approximate land cost. Okay, once you have the pre-approved amount, then you're going to reverse engineer from there, right? You're going to get an idea. This is my suggestion. This is how I would do it if I was going through the process, which Mike and I are actually thinking about buying land and building a barn dominium. So we are going to go through the process like you guys, and we'll know so much more having been on that end of the transaction. But we are going to get pre-approved first. The next step is then to start looking at land. You want to get an idea of what the cost of land is going to look like, okay? Land can come in all different shapes and sizes. It can be raw land, completely undeveloped. It can come with utilities already connected. It can come with a garage or a building already on it. Under this program, if you find a piece of land that has an old home or an old manufactured home on there and you want to knock it down and demo it, but you really like the piece of property, you can include the cost of demoing that building in your construction loan. Okay, so you can include that cost in your budget, which is really sweet. Especially where land's hard to find, right? Sometimes you might not have a lot of vacant land in the market that you're looking at. And if that's the case, then you want to start looking for things that are either priced really low for what it is because it's just a total teardown and nobody really wants it, or something that you can negotiate really low because, again, it's a total teardown and nobody wants it. Mike actually bought a piece of property right next to our building and it had an old house on it, and he took his excavator over there and he totally demolished it and had it taken away. I think, how many dumpsters did it take to take that little house away?
I think it was 6 and then 1 or 2 loads by dump trailer.
Yeah, so I think it was like 6 dumpsters full of debris and then a couple loads with like his dump trailer. So that can be done. That's an option. So you're looking for land. You're getting an idea of what land looks like. If it doesn't have a septic and it doesn't have a well, if you're out rural areas, or it doesn't have sewer connection and it doesn't have city water connection, that has to be factored in your total cost to build. And yes, that can be included in the total budget. So anything from the driveway finishes, the landscaping, fencing, connection to utilities, drilling a well, installing a septic, doing dirt work, knocking down trees, all of that can be financed in your total cost to build. Total construction project, right? Oh my gosh, it's cost. It's a part of your budget. So it just has to be included up front because all of those numbers have to be factored into your total cost to build. So once you have an idea of what land's going to cost, and here's another tip. As you're shopping for land, you should also be shopping for builders. Okay, so you're kind of doing these things simultaneous. This is not just for veterans. It's for active duty military as well, reservists, National Guard. We do have a VA, or we do have a one-time close or custom construction loan, a one-time close loan that is FHA, and we have one that is conventional as well. So if for some reason you guys have a family member that wants to build next to you and they want to do the same thing, but they didn't serve, then they could use a conventional or an FHA construction loan. Those are going to be 3.5% down, 5% down. They will not allow you to build up as high in price. Because you're limited by the FHA loan limit or the conventional conforming loan limit. And, but the option is there. So So while you're simultaneously shopping for land and trying to figure out what your floor plan is, because floor plan matters, right? If the lot is only 70 by 100 long, 70 wide, what does your floor plan have to look like? It's got to be a little bit more narrow, right? And longer, because your lot is restricting your architectural features, your architectural design. So those are things that are also important when you're looking at the construction planning and project. Now, my quick tip that I was talking about earlier is when you are looking at shopping for land, quick tip is to enlist a builder. If you can find your builder and you like a builder, you can get good information from a builder on what is going on in that local area. If it's a good builder, they know the county, they know what's going to be required to develop that lot, they know what's going to be required to get permits. Permits are very important to build. Most cities, counties, cities, states, most areas around the country require permits. There are some pockets that don't require building permits, but most of them do. So once you have your estimated land cost, then you can figure out what your floor plan is and your estimates from builders. You can start figuring out what builder you want to work with. Then step 5 is you're going to finalize your builder cost. You're going to get under contract with a builder. You have to have a contract. And then your LO will complete the cost estimator, right? This is your project cost, your purchase price estimator, which tells us the final number that we have to get you pre-approved for. And that's why we want to start with that number and then end with that number and make sure that you are underneath that number. And this is where some challenges happen, and I'll tell you some stories as we go through these slides. So the details of the construction loan, this is where devil's in the details, right? We have buyers that we pre-approve and we get them pre-approval letters, and then they go out and they start interviewing builders. And then maybe they go through a builder that, they really like, and then the builder never gets back to them. You guys, this is very typical. Builders have a hard time, not all builders, but a lot of builders have a hard time following through on the business side of building. They're not business people. They're not organized. They are manual, labor. They're creatives. They like to go execute on construction, and they don't necessarily all have a super organized team. Sometimes they're just small companies and it's just 1 or 2 employees, and they're building. They're the GC, the general contractors of record, and they're the ones handling everything. So the builders do have to be approved. We're going to go through that approval process. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. The builders do have to be approved. And we do have a list of approved builders already. We also, they have to get registered with the VA to build using the VA financing, which is not a big deal at all. That is not an approval process. Being registered with the VA is just some forms that they fill out. And basically they're signing, stating that they're going to follow equal opportunity for their employment and then equal credit opportunity laws. So those are really the VA forms. It's super simple. And that's going to give them the ability to be able to get approved and get a registration ID number. Stop. So, okay. Sorry, guys. I think my dog is hungry. I did not feed him this evening. He got fed this morning. He's being a fatty right now, and he needs snacks. Okay. So the construction budget, let's look at the cost, the purchase price estimator. I've got a worksheet I'm going to show you so you can see kind of what that breakdown looks like. It's going to be hard to see, especially for those of you on TikTok, but we will run these estimators for you once you start working with us. And we will actually put together numbers and kind of work backwards. But I want to talk through this with you so you guys can see some of the costs that are associated with building, financing a construction build. So first of all, estimated cost to build. That is what your builder is estimating it's going to cost to build the home that you are talking to the builder about. You've kind of got an idea of what land costs. You're talking to builders. Maybe the builder has a floor plan already that you can build. Maybe you're finding that floor plan online. You found an architectural website or a home design website, and you have found a floor plan that you really like and want to build on a website. One thing that's really nice, and I will make sure, from experience, I used to sell houses for builders. And one thing that's hard, it's really hard to envision what the interior of a home looks like just from floor plans, because you can see the framing plans, you can see the plumbing plans, you can see the roofing plans and the trusses and all that stuff. But it's really hard to see like How do the walls look on the inside of the house? You know, what does it feel like? What's the height of the ceilings? Is there a cove ceiling? Is there crown molding? Like all of those things really make and change the way a house feels. So if there's any way for you to get, if you're spending a lot of money and this is like your forever home, I would try and get a 3D rendering of the interior of the home, just so you can get an idea of what it's actually like when you see it on the inside. Architects will do 3D renderings. I think CAD drafters can do a 3D rendering. A home designer, those home designers and engineers and CAD drafters are going to be more affordable than architects. Architects are very expensive. And no shade on architects. They are very well educated. They create amazing designs, but they just tend to be on the more expensive side, and they tend to be very busy. So it takes longer to get plans from an architect than it might to go online and find a floor plan that you really like and then have it engineered for local code, right? Local requirements for local builders or local building code. So you're going to have your estimated cost to build. This is what the builder is going to do. This is what they're going to give you. The number they're going to give you after they have gone and talked to all of their subcontractors, given their subcontractors the floor plan, and said, okay, this is what we're looking to build. How much is it going to cost? How much are you going to charge me to roof this house? How much are you going to charge me for siding? Now, remember, or keep in mind, as a buyer building this house with a builder, as the client, you're going to have to know what type of siding are you planning on putting on this house? What type of roofing materials are you using? Are you using composition roof? Are you using metal roof? Are you using, shake, like wood shake, ceramics? Like there's a lot of things that you're going to have to know before you actually get a true quote back from the builder. And this is one of the things that can take extra time and be more, time prohibitive, because it takes time to get quotes back from builders and subcontractors. So just know you probably need to do some forward research on just kind of figuring out, like, what is it that we want inside this house? My tips on websites to use to figure out what you want. Houzz.com, that's Houzz, houzz.com. Obviously, Pinterest is a great website. Those can give you a lot of ideas of like visuals. If you're not a visual person, like Mike's not very visual, so he has a hard time. He's always like, I need you to show me a picture. Show me a picture of what you're talking about. So we've remodeled houses purely off of pictures we found on Houzz or Pinterest, because he needed to visually see it before he said, yeah, I want to do that. So that research can be a lot of fun. And you should be doing that well before you probably are even thinking about getting too far into this. Maybe even after you get pre-approved, because obviously you gotta make sure you can get pre-approved before you start going too deep into that. But some women may sit around and print Pinterest on those kinds of dreams. And I don't know how many Pinterest boards for how many different house ideas that we've either remodeled or thought to build. And it gives you a lot of clarity. So, and it will be much easier if you can take those pictures and send them directly to the builder and say, this is what I want. I need you to figure out how much this is going to cost. So once the builder has been able to give you an actual pretty close quote, and you know the cost of your land, okay? So now you've gone out, you've got an idea of what the cost of your land is. So in this worksheet, you're gonna see, I started $250,000 for the cost to build, okay? This is obviously a very affordable home. $250,000 is what the builder is quoting us to build the house. The estimated value of the land and the cost of the land is $75,000. Now that includes, it's already got utilities. Okay, so that's what we're going to say with this lot. Already has utilities. So when we're looking at the land, we're going to look at the actual cost of the land. If you're buying the land at the time you are closing on the construction. Now, some people already own their own land. Some people have had family members gift them land. You can still, if you already own your own land, if you don't owe any money on it, we're going to have to bundle it into one loan. Now, we're not paying anything off because you don't owe any money on it, but we have to secure the loan on the land and the home, okay? Because that's what makes it a residential loan. If we were just trying to secure the loan on just the home but not the land, lenders and investors won't purchase that. That's not a loan that is something that they want to purchase. So we're going to look at the land value. We're going to look at the cost of the home. And those two will typically, if you're buying it, it's going to wash it out, right? Because you don't get credit for the value, even if it's over what you're buying the land for. So let's say you're buying the land for $75,000, but in the appraisal, they give you credit for $80,000 for the cost of the land, for the value of the land. You don't get to use that extra $5,000 towards anything. It's just a bonus for you that you have $5,000 in value already in your land. Then there's a contingency fund. So what is a contingency fund? It's a requirement. It will be 2% of the cost to build. So $250,000, 2% of $250,000 is $5,000. We are going to hold that money in an account. And that is what is going to fund you going over budget. If the lumber package comes in a little bit higher, or your wife or you go to the store and you pick your tile, and your tile, you end up having really expensive taste, and your tile ends up being a little bit more expensive than what you initially thought it was going to be. That contingency reserve fund will cover those going over budget calculations so that you don't have to come into closing with money out of your pocket. So we've already budgeted for a 2% contingency reserve. Now, if you go over 2%, then you're going to be in a position where you're going to have to bring cash to closing, or you're going to have to pay that vendor or that, that company, like if it's a tile company, that supplier, you're going to have to pay them potentially directly. The other thing that is included in the construction, the total cost to build, is your interest for the term of the construction, right? So this is a one-time construction loan, one-time close. What does that mean? That means you qualify one time. You qualify prior to us starting construction. When we close on your construction loan, that's when construction actually starts. So when we're closing on your construction loan, there's nothing built yet, unless there's an existing, residence or existing house of some sort on the property. But there's nothing built yet. So that construction interest is accruing, but again, you're not making those construction payments like you normally would on a two-time close or on a conventional construction loan, because it's VA. They're not allowing you to make those payments. So it has to be included in the interest reserve expense. So depending on how long it's going to take you to build, if it takes you 6 months to build, there's less interest that's accruing because you're only building for 6 months. If it takes 9 or 12 months to build, there's more interest that accrues because it's a longer construction period. So we have to calculate that, and we estimate that with this worksheet that we have. We're going to calculate that based off of the current construction interest rates, which change. And currently the construction interest rate, last time I checked, was like 9.99. It's based off of prime rate plus a margin. This is very common for construction loans. They're always prime plus a margin, interest only. So it's not, it's not accruing. Obviously you can't accrue principal, but it's not accruing principal. It's only accruing interest. And that is included in the total cost to build. So now you have your cost to build, you have your land cost, you have your 2% contingency reserve, and you have your interest carry during the construction phase. The other thing that has to be included is you have to have the estimated construction management fee. So for this particular house, $250,000 plus $75,000 plus all those things, the construction management fee is about $8,500. Now that includes releasing the draws to the builder and managing the construction during post-closing of the construction loan, which is when the construction starts. It's also including ordering the inspections to make sure that the builder is spending the money on what they're supposed to be spending the money on with that draw that they receive. What happens with the first draw, when we close on your construction loan, we release the first draw. If you're buying the land, we're going to pay off the landowner, the seller, and now you take title to the property and now you own the land. Okay, so while you're building, you own the land. The second, and in that first draw, we might also release the first draw to the builder for the builder to start excavation of the land, potentially clearing the lot, maybe getting permits. Second draw typically goes, potentially a foundation. Second draw typically goes to the framing, maybe a rough-in like plumbing and electrical rough-ins. So there's phases of the construction. Now we do have a very flexible draw schedule. So for builders who want to know, that's an important fact for builders because builders are always stressing over the draw schedule. So builders that you talk to need to know we are very accommodating when it comes to the draw schedule with builders. We do a lot of these construction loans all across the country. We work with all different kinds of builders, and we will accommodate different builders depending on what their requests are. We have a lot of different variations of the draw schedule. we can help you with those conversations. You don't have to have those conversations all alone by yourself. Our construction team will help in navigating those conversations with the builder because they are very well versed in those conversations. So on this particular build project, you can see that we start with a $250,000 cost to build, plus the $75,000 with the land, plus $5,000 for the contingency reserve, plus the construction management fee and the interest during the construction. The total amount that you have to qualify for the loan is $360,513. So this is where that reverse engineering is really important, because if I pre-approved you for $400,000 and then you go out and you talk to a builder and the builder's like, it's going to cost me $375,000 to build. Well, now you only have $25,000 left to cover all of those other things. So we want to make sure that you have the money in your budget to accomplish what you want to accomplish. We had a buyer that's in South Carolina that's working with a very tight budget. She's a surviving spouse, and we've been working with her for quite some time on construction financing. And the builder came back after we were already under contract. The builder came back and raised his price by 25% of the total cost to build, which is unheard of. 25% is that's like a quarter of the house. Like, how could you be 25% off in your original budget? In my opinion, that's a builder who probably did a little bait and switch on the numbers. And then when he realized, oh, this lady is actually serious, she can actually get a construction loan, he went and finally got quotes and bids from his actual contractors and came back with real quotes. So you have to watch out for that stuff. You have to make sure you ask the builders the right questions, and we're going to go through that, because just because we approve a builder doesn't mean the builder is going to handle things the way they should handle things, okay? From start to finish on the term of the loan, VA gives us 12 months to do a construction project. After 12 months, they require that we basically convert your loan at 12 months. So that's what's unique about this loan program, right? During construction, it's based off of a construction loan, which is interest-only loan. Now, we are not refinancing. It's a one-time close. So you only qualify one time. We only need one appraisal, and you only have one set of closing costs. You may talk to some banks and mortgage companies that have a two-time close. A two-time close requires a separate construction loan, and then they refinance you into your VA loan. If there's a separate construction loan and a permanent VA loan that you're being refinanced into, you have to qualify twice. You have to have two separate appraisals, and you have to have two separate sets of closing costs. That is not the best loan out there. And the reason for that is it costs you more money. It puts you in a position to where if that second appraisal after the house has been being built for a year, if that second appraisal goes down from what your first appraisal came in at, you're now having to bring cash to the closing table. Additionally, let's say you lose your job after you start construction. You know you're going to go get another job, so you're not really worried about it. But let's say you lose your job. Well, you can't refinance if you've lost your job until you get a new job and you're still qualified at that new job. So these are some of the reasons why we like the one-time close over the two-time close, because the two-time close has a lot of those things that are not beneficial to you, where the one-time close is kind of like a safe harbor. It gives you a lot of protection in the areas of the appraised value, in the area of qualifying, in the area of lowest cost out of your pocket and lowest closing costs associated with this loan. So that's the reason why we like the one-time close over the two-time close. One of the reasons. So let's talk about a couple other things, commonly asked questions that we get. So when you're looking at the total cost to build and trying to figure out your budget and your project, there's a lot of moving pieces, right? You've got your builder, you've got your real estate agent and your land search. If you find a piece of land that you absolutely love, we need to make sure that you guys give us a reasonable period of time to close on that land, because this isn't like a regular VA loan that we're just closing in 30 days or less. We're waiting for the builder. The builder has to find out what you want to build, get all the quotes back from his subcontractors, which we've seen some builders, that takes 4 months from some builders to get quotes back from subcontractors. Sometimes they're super organized and they get them back in 3 weeks. We haven't really seen many that get us quotes back in less than 3 weeks when you're starting to go, bids from day one, right? Day one, it takes minimum probably about 3 weeks. We cannot order your appraisal until we have the quote back from the builder, a signed around contract. So you have finalized your price with the builder, which requires that you have your final specs. Specs are, what type of countertops are you putting in the kitchen? What type of cabinets are you using? What flooring are you putting throughout the house? Are you using an LVP? Are you using real hardwoods? Are you using old barn floors that are being recycled? Are you like, what is going on the inside of the house, right? So it's going to require that you have all of those details. And then the builder has to, once you have a contract, and we have to get the builder approved, that's another thing. That builder approval process, the builder has to fill out a bunch of forms and then get us those forms back. Some builders take a few days to do that. I've seen some builders take over a month to get us the forms back. They're not super complicated forms, but sometimes they just take longer. So there are a lot of moving pieces. As you can hear, like there's multiple steps in this process. Now, the result of it is that you can end up with this amazing custom built house that you picked out everything inside of, and you get exactly what you want. And oftentimes with equity, instant equity in the property at the time that you're ready, that at the time that construction is 100% complete, like we have a lot of clients that are ending up with equity. Another really cool thing about this construction loan is once the house is 100% complete, we're going to modify your note. Remember, we were talking about the one-time close versus the two-time close? Well, what we do is we modify your note instead of refinance it, and that's what puts you in your permanent VA loan. So if it takes you 12 months to build, and we lock in your 30-year interest rate prior to closing on your construction loan, and then you take 12 months to build, we now modify your loan with a 29-year remaining term. So your new payments for your mortgage are calculated based off of a 29-year term. And at that time, if mortgage interest rates have gone down, we can break your lock and float you down to the lower interest rates at the time of modification for free. We will not charge you to modify that interest rate at the time of modification. So you kind of get the insurance of I'm locking in prior to closing, prior to construction even being started. And then if rates have gone down, now I get to take advantage of those lower interest rates. And that's really incredible, especially right now in the market environment that we're in, because likely we will be seeing interest rates coming down over the next 6, 12, 18 months. That is what we're expected to see with the feds and inflation coming down, the feds lowering the Fed funds federal fund rate. Gosh, I can't talk tonight. So that's likely going to be something that we start seeing, which will be really good for mortgage interest rates. And if you enter into a construction project, when you're looking at land for your real estate agents and for you and for any real estate agents that are on here, we need a long closing date because there's too many third parties involved in this transaction. There's a builder, there's architect or engineers potentially. The appraisal cannot even be ordered until the builder has provided us with the floor plan, the spec list, the site plan, which is how does the house lay on the lot and what are the dimensions of that? And the builder has to have been approved by our mortgage company before we can even order the appraisal, okay? Once the appraisal comes back, we're getting closer to closing. Once the appraisal is back, now we're finalizing our figures. We're finalizing our cost estimator to make sure that we have the final numbers for the construction project. And then we're moving forward to closing and the regular underwriting process is followed and everything else. So yes, so that is kind of in a nutshell how the process works. Step 1, to go back through, get pre-approved by your VA loan specialist. Again, Veterans Lending Group, our company, our organization, we lend in all 50 states plus Puerto Rico. This particular loan program, the custom construction loan, is not available in Puerto Rico and it's not available in Alaska. It is available everywhere else. But if you're in Puerto Rico or Alaska, we can still help you. It's just not going to be for a custom construction loan. It has to be something that's being built by a builder, paid for by a builder, or already existing. Step 2, find a realtor and start shopping for land. Okay? Real estate agents, you want to make sure that you can find a real estate agent that has experience writing land contracts, because when you're writing a land contract, it's different than writing a contract on just a house that's existing. With land, you have to make sure that you do the proper studies when you're in your due diligence period or your feasibility period or your option period. The term is different in every state. So your real estate agent will be able to define what that term is, where they are. But that is what you are protected from your earnest money deposit, right? You don't want to lose your earnest money deposit because you didn't have the proper contingencies in your contract. So working with real estate agents who understand shopping for land is very important. And we want to make sure that you have the proper amount of time to be able to look into the county requirements to build on that land. Sometimes, depending on certain areas, like in Texas, there's certain areas in Texas that have limestone for a rock. And you have to figure out, can you drill into that to put a septic? Is the lot that you're looking at, is it really hard rock in the middle of the lot where you want to build, or is it softer? Do you have clay? Is it, are the soils good? Do they perk? Meaning, does water drain from the soils? Can you build what you want to build? Can you set footings for foundations? What kind of foundations required? Are there wetlands? Is there any type of environmental protection? All of those things are really important. And that's what you're doing after you have written your offer and the seller has accepted your offer. You're now in what's called a feasibility or a due diligence or an option period where you have a certain amount of days to make sure that you can build what you want to build on that land. Once you have gone through that option and you've confirmed, okay, we're good to go, we can accomplish what we want to accomplish on this land, then you can satisfy your contingency, remove your contingency, let the seller know, okay, we're still proceeding forward. And while you're doing all of that, we're simultaneously working on the loan, getting the loan in process, ordering the appraisal, finalizing the floor plans if you haven't done that, then ordering the appraisal. All of that stuff can be done in conjunction, but your real estate agent plays a very important role because they are the ones that are trained to figure out and to understand, is there anything funky about this land that you need to know that will prevent you from being able to build what you want to build? And building, somebody just put, wow, who knew building was so complicated? Building is, it can be complicated. And that's one thing that you guys need to know. Walking into this construction project, it is going to be more work than building a house in a neighborhood where a builder builds it, right? That's different because the builder's kind of taking care of all that stuff for you. It's one of the reasons why builders make more money, typically, to do that. It's a labor of love because you are putting together your project the way you want it, and you're gonna do a lot of legwork. But it can be very exciting and a lot of fun. So it's not for everyone. And that's why we're here to help you, is because, we're the professionals. We deal with this every day. We are going through the process with a lot of different buyers right now, all across the country, all different price points. We had a buyer that closed. We had a surgeon who was prior service. They were a surgeon in the military, and they ended up building a house up in, I think it was Indiana, that cost $1.9 million to build, but their appraisal came back at $2.4 million. Before we even closed on the construction, before we even started construction and broke ground, they already had that much equity built into the house. So it can be very satisfying. It can be very gratifying, building a home for your family that you can keep in the family, creating some equity, doing all that stuff. But follow the path. We lay it out to try and eliminate any of the major problems and major issues that can come up. But, just be prepared. It is work. It is exciting, but it is some work. And you guys will end up, a lot of people end up getting pre-approved to build, and then they end up, kind of going down the path and doing the exploration and talking to builders and looking at land and all this stuff. And then they end up buying something that's already existing. But if we pre-approve you for a construction loan, you can absolutely get approved for just a regular loan, because the construction loan is more conservative and more difficult to qualify for than just finding an existing home and buying that. So if we already get you approved for a construction loan, then you can default back to something that maybe you find a builder that's building almost exactly what you wanted anyways, and you don't have to go through all the work. Then you can move forward with that and write an offer on that. Finding the right builder and deciding on a floor plan, that's step 3. Step 4 is, is there step 4? Hold on. I don't have these slides memorized yet because, this is like, we're kind of perfecting this PowerPoint presentation as we go. As we teach the class, we're dialing it in. How to find an approved builder, okay? So you can look for someone who does business, obviously, with integrity, honesty, and professionalism. How do you make sure? The biggest thing is checking into see references, right? Getting referrals and references of people that they have built homes for in the past. And even walking those homes. If you can get to walk the homes, or if they have model homes, some custom builders are a little bit bigger and they actually have model homes throughout the county or area that they're building in. Some don't have model homes. Some of them are building what's called spec, which is in a neighborhood, and custom. So you can kind of go look at their quality of their construction. I would definitely ask for references. I would definitely ask for people that they have built homes for. I want to call them. I want to talk to them. Don't half-ass this, you guys. This is really important because there are some really great builders out there and there are some not so great builders out there, just like with any other profession. And one of the ways that you can weed through them, no matter how excited you get and how they sound like they're saying all the right things, verify, trust but verify, right? Go in, take a look at their construction, talk to the clients that they've worked with, see how happy they are. Just because we approve them doesn't give the final stamp that it's going to be the best process in the world, because we go through their financials. We make sure they're financially solvent. We make sure that they have building experience. We make sure that they pay their subcontractors. We're going to go through and check their references. We're going to do all that stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to handle everything 100% the way you want them to. So having a lot of those conversations up front and doing your due diligence up front is very important. Obviously, you want the builder to care about you, the clients, and aim to give you the best possible service. Going online, Googling, looking for online reviews, looking for any bad, negative information online. Those things are all very important. And then thirdly, they must be able to qualify as an approved builder with Cross Country. That's our parent company, Cross Country Mortgage. And that is the part of the process that we go through. When we first meet the builder, we have to go through a builder approval process. There's a package that they fill out. It's not super complicated. It tells us like, what's their license number? Do they have insurance? They have to have insurance, right? So what's their liability insurance look like? How long have they been building? What's the construction or what's the structure of their business? Is it an LLC? Are there partners? Or is it a sole proprietor, a sole member construction company? Who are their authorized signers? What's their construction experience? Like how many projects do they have going on right now? It gives us some information on those projects. We have to verify that they have completed 3 projects per year in the last 3 years. So they need to have some qualifications, right? We don't want to be giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars and enlisting their, services unless we know that there's high probability that they're going to successfully build your home the way that you want to build. So once we have the builder approval, then obviously that's when you know that builder is approved and can qualify for financing with us or can qualify to be the builder of record, the GC of record. And then you can be looking at the construction details in the meantime, right? So there are these processes. Now the builder approval process, once we get the documents back from the builder, we can have that builder approved in 3 to 5 business days. Doesn't take that long. Our construction team will review it. They'll reach out to the builder directly and let the builder know if we need anything else. And then once we approve it, they're sent an email. We're sent an email. Everybody knows that the builder's been approved. We'll let you know. And then we can move forward with the next phase, which is getting the contracts written. Something that's important to know about the contract that you're going to sign with the builder. There's 2 primary types of construction contracts and construction agreements with builders. If I'm a buyer and I want to hire a builder to build me a house, there's 2 different ways the contract can be written primarily. One is called cost plus and one is fixed cost. Fixed cost means I'm hiring Bob the builder to build me a house. Bob is going to quote me a cost to build me that house. Bob has to hold his budget to that cost. He has to hold his subcontractors accountable. And if Bob underquoted me for the cost of the house, Bob has to work that out with his subcontractors, and his profit may go down. Bob can also try and charge me what's called a cost plus contract, fixed cost and cost plus. The cost plus contract says he's going to build me the home for a 10% profit, but he's going to charge me exactly the cost of labor and materials of the home plus 10%. That is not allowed under our construction or VA's construction program. And the reason for that is because if Bob the builder is giving me a fixed or cost plus contract, that means that it can move. It's a moving target, right? If the subcontractors come back and they're like, yeah, you know what? I ended up having to charge more, $5,000 more to roof, $5,000 more to plumb, $5,000 more, $10,000 more for electrical. Now your target's moving and now you're having to rework your numbers. And we've already ordered the appraisal. We've already completed the appraisal. So going back and reworking numbers is we're not going to be able to do that. So fixed cost contracts An experienced builder should be able to write a fixed cost contract without any problems, and that should not be a big deal. Again, we can help have those conversations, but this is a CYA for you. It saves your ass, it protects you, and makes sure that you don't overpay because of subcontractors being haphazard, or a builder maybe not quoting the project the way the builder should have quoted the project. So what kinds of questions should you ask your builder before you start construction? Here's a whole list of them. And I know we've been seeing people ask for the slides. Michael, are you telling them to DM you?
Man, I put up the slide about 10 times. I'm telling people to DM me. I'm doing as much as I can. I keep trying to pin the comment, but the comment won't pin.
Oh.
So it's just
okay.
Super,
annoying.
I'm trying to get the
okay. So if you guys want a copy of this slide deck, you can DM us and we will get you the resources, the information from the slide deck. It's not a full copy of the slide deck, but it's basically all the stuff, the information that you need. Okay. So please DM us if you want that, because this information's on there, right? How do you overcome challenges or delays when it comes to the construction? So that'd be one of the questions I'd ask the builder. Is there anything I should be looking out for when I'm choosing my land to build? Really good information. I mean, these builders that you're looking to hire hopefully have a lot of experience in the area, right? So they're going to be able to give you insight as to, hey, watch out for this. Like I know in Washington State, for instance, Thurston County, Washington has pocket gophers. And there's a whole bunch of environmentalists in Thurston County, and nothing against gophers. Like I love gophers, they're cute. But I grew up in Montana, and you know, all the kids in the neighborhood were shooting gophers when they were really young. But anyway, so like the delay in the pocket gophers could be a real deal problem for you. So you want to talk to the builder, find out, is there anything I should be aware of when I'm looking at land? How can I organize someone? How can I organize someone coming out to evaluate the land that I'm hoping to purchase, right? Do you have a portfolio of builds that you have completed for reference? Where can I go to see your work? How do I find out what your work looks like? What is your relationship with your architect? Do you have a relationship with your architect? What do they typically charge? Again, Mike and I have spent stupid money on architectural fees. And while the architects are really fun to work with because they're like artists and they're super technical and they can come up with some really cool styles, you don't have to have an architect, and you can save a lot of money by not using an architect. If anybody's on here and they're an architect, I apologize. I'm not trying to take business out of your business away from you, but it's just the reality of the situation, as architects do charge a lot. What is the difference between a home designer and an architect? Home designers are usually going to be more affordable, right? But they can accomplish the same thing. What are your suggestions on how I can save money when going through the construction of my new build? How do I save money? What do I spend money on, right? And this is something that you can kind of reverse engineer your budget. If you originally got a budget of $600,000, but you're only approved for $550,000, how can you get down $50,000? Do you need to shrink the square footage of the home? Can you leave a portion of the home unfinished? Can you do different siding? Like how can you, shrink your budget a little bit to be where you need to be? What is your home inspection process? Do you have a warranty? What's your warranty look like? How can I best stay within my budget when I'm building? That's kind of like the previous question I asked. Do you have another point of contact or a team I can contact if I am not able to reach you? That's a really important one. Like if I can't get a hold of you, if you go MIA on my construction project, I'm going to lose my shit. I need to be able to get a hold of somebody. Do you have another point of, that was the same question I just literally asked. Do you house information on a software program that is accessible to me? Is everything handwritten? There's some really good builders. I saw literally just within the last 6 months, I saw a handwritten home design from a builder. It did not have to be a CAD drafted design. We accepted it, but this builder hand drafted a floor plan and the actual full set of plans for this home, which was incredible. And it looked really cool. I think Mike's stepdad, Mike grew up building houses actually in like Montana and Vermont. And his stepdad would do these little models of the custom built homes that they would make. And, some people are just really artistic and have incredible abilities to be able to do stuff like that. But yes, you can actually do that as well. I saw a question on here. What about mobile homes, manufactured homes? Mobile homes are the same thing as manufactured homes. Yes, you can do it. It has to be at least a double wide, and you're ordering it from the factory. So you can pay for the purchase of the land, the setup, the construction, and ordering it from the factory. All of that can be included all together and financed into your construction loan. So that's the custom construction loan in a nutshell. And this program has a lot of questions, right? It's not just one of those things where you talk about it for a minute and then you're good to go and you're on, unless you've done it before. You're going to have a lot of questions. You're going to have a lot of things that pop up as you're talking to the builders. You know, what we like is we like to have communication open with your builders. We like to have communication open with the real estate agents. We want to be able to be very involved and communicative with everybody. So we know how we can help navigate the process for everybody and keep it as smooth as possible. Out of pocket, that's a good question, Crown Day. So what can you expect to pay out of pocket? So there will be regular closing costs, right? With any home purchase, any loan that you get on a home, there's going to be closing costs. Depending on where you're buying, there's going to be an appraisal. There's going to be title and escrow. There's going to be property insurance. Now, with new construction, you're not paying the property insurance right away. There's going to be property taxes. There's going to be potentially transfer taxes where you are purchasing. There's county, city transfer taxes in some states, survey. So those things are typical closing costs on a loan. So you can expect that there's going to be typical closing costs on a loan. Now, you can roll that into the project as long as the appraisal will come in high enough to support that. And technically the builder then would be paying for your closing costs. So you can negotiate that. You can negotiate to have a real estate agent paid to help you with your build project. If that's what you want to do, it has to be included in the contract and has to be able to appraise for that amount. So those are typical closing costs. So you should expect that there's going to be typical closing costs. Now, there's also additional potential costs. If you have to have an environmental study, if you have to have an environmental engineer come out while you're under contract on the land doing your feasibility study, you would maybe want to be prepared to pay for that amount of money. That's something that would be really good to ask your real estate agent before you start shopping for land. They can do the research and figure out what kind of studies are typical for that market that you're going to be buying land in. They're different all across the country. Here in Florida, you might want to do, there's soil studies, obviously there's sand. You're going to have to figure out what the local requirements are. Some neighborhoods are going to have their own set of requirements. You might start your permitting prior to closing. If you start your permitting prior to closing, if you pay for engineering fees or architectural fees or anything like that, the studies, you can include that all in the construction so that you can get that money back at closing. So if you pay it up front, you can actually get reimbursed that money, again, as long as the house will appraise for it. Common theme, the thing that I keep saying, right, is as long as the house appraises for it, because everything is based on the house appraising. Now, with the VA loan, if for some reason the appraisal comes back less than what your total construction budget was, we can submit what's called a reconsideration of value request to the VA and ask the VA to approve you financing. Let's say your total cost to build, including all the contingency reserves and the financing, the interest reserves, all of that totals out $650,000. Okay. The appraisal comes in at $630,000. You're $20,000 low. You can go back to the VA and ask the VA to approve you to still finance the $650,000, even though the appraisal came in at $630,000. There has to be a specific request from the veteran to approve that. And yes, the VA does often approve those. Not always, but we do have a lot of very good experience because you guys, 90% of the loans that we close across the country are VA loans. We don't just do custom construction loans. We do all kinds of VA loans, renovation loans, existing VA loans, buying new construction VA loans, building with your construction loan, your VA one-time close. We also have conventional and FHA and USDA and jumbo loans and non-QM loans. Every loan program you can imagine, we have access to. So if for some reason, you have to flip and do something else, or if you have to pull equity out of a property with a HELOC to put money down on your construction, like there's a lot of different solutions that we can work through to figure out how to help you. And sometimes it's just a matter of rebudgeting and reworking the budget and the project. So what other questions do you guys have? Lena's asking, I got out of the military 2 years ago. Can I still use the VA loan? Yes, Lena. There's no expiration date on using your VA loan. So if you've been out of the military 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you can still use your VA loan. Sometimes we are helping Vietnam vets who are buying their first home at 65 years old after having gotten out of the military in their 30s or 20s. And it's very satisfying. So yes, there's no limit on how many years you have your VA loan for. There used to be, Lena, and that might be what you're thinking. Like for instance, my dad was a Vietnam vet, and when he served in Vietnam, it was a 10-year benefit. So you use it or lose it in 10 years. But Congress changed that in the early 90s, I believe, and eliminated that rule. Another question, have you worked in Palm Beach County? Yes, we have worked in Palm Beach County. We do a lot of loans all across the country, to be honest. I don't know. We tried to map this out for a while, just like all the locations that we're doing loans all across the country. And we got to the point where we got so busy, we had to stop mapping it, but we're lending all across the country. Leslie, isn't there a type of VA loan that does not require closing costs? Leslie, no. There's always going to be closing costs, third-party closing costs, right? Now, as a lender, on our regular VA loans, we do not charge any lender fees. So we do not charge an origination fee. We don't have an underwriting fee. We don't have a processing fee. We don't have an admin fee. We don't charge any of those fees on our VA loans. We want to try and give our veterans the best deal possible, and we don't charge any of those. But we do, if you're buying down the interest rate, there would be a discount point, right? Or a discount fee if you're going to pay to buy down the interest rate. That's the only thing that we charge. But every VA loan has closing costs associated with it. Now, sometimes you can roll that into your interest rate. So you can take a higher interest rate to pay for your closing costs. This construction loan doesn't have that flexibility. So with the construction loan, you either have to pay your closing costs or the builder has to pay them in the budget, included in the whole budget. Andres, what are some tips from a lender to a veteran new real estate agent? Oh, yeah, good question. I think the biggest tip is learn as much as you can about the VA home loan benefit, and negotiating contracts for veterans, and reconsideration of value requests and Tidewater notifications. Andre, we actually have realtor classes that we teach for serving our military families. We also teach the MRP certification, which is the military relocation professional. So if you're interested in getting more information about that, DM me, and we'll get you connected with our education department. We have a whole education department. They travel across the country. They teach education to real estate agents and veterans. We do on-base briefings, off-base briefings. These guys are like all over the place. I think this week they're going to be in San Diego, Sacramento, Nevada, Las Vegas, Indianapolis next week, Ohio, Chattanooga. Tennessee, yeah, they're all over the place. So, you're here in Sacramento. Awesome. Where do I start? Okay, so if you're very interested in the one-time close and you're interested in getting started, the best thing that you can do is click on the link in my bio. What's going to happen is you're going to see in that link, you're going to see apply now or get pre-approved. You can click on get pre-approved, and that will start the pre-approval process. Now, keep in mind, we are going to pull a soft credit pull. Soft credit pull, when we know for a fact that you're going to move forward with the construction loan, we're going to have to convert it to a hard credit pull, which is where you actually get an inquiry on your credit report. But initially, your soft pull will not go on your credit report, so it will not have any negative impact or any impact on your credit score. So complete the online loan application, and then our team will get in contact with you, and we will start talking and getting documents and going through the pre-approval process. Be patient on the construction pre-approvals. They take longer. Okay. They take longer because there's more moving pieces, and there's a lot of data, and there's a lot of calculations that have to be done. Is the builder fee included in the build budget? Yes, Natalia, it is. Yep, absolutely. What about 100% total and permanent veterans? Yes, you can absolutely use this benefit. The one-time close. And obviously if you have a 10% or higher VA disability rating, you do not pay the funding fee. So that saves you that money, the funding fee. We do service Los Angeles. We lend in all 50 states. Plus Puerto Rico. The construction loan is only available in 49 states. Alaska is the only state that it's not available in. So I shouldn't say only available in 49 states. It's available in 49 states. It's not available in Alaska. The Ford Tiggers, when you work with you to get the pre-approval to look for land in Montana, do you take into consideration the value of the home we will sell in Florida? Yes. Yes, we will. If you're going to sell the home in Florida, it will be taken into consideration. And that's a really good question. If you're planning on selling your home and using the proceeds from the sale of that home, then to purchase, then you obviously have to close on the sale prior to closing on the construction loan. When you're closing on the construction loan, that's before you even start construction. So that's where you see people living in temporary housing while they're building. Either you can live in an RV on site on your property. You get a travel trailer, an RV, live on site. You could put up a yurt, like if you're, real rugged that way and you want to do that, you could do that. You could live in an apartment. You can live in a short-term rental or do something like that while you're building. You can live with family members. We can, if you're going to retain your house, your current home that has a VA loan on it, we can offset that mortgage by treating it as a departure residence, because you're going to retain it and rent it out. After your house is 100% completed, you're going to move out of it and it's going to become a rental. We can treat that as a departure residence. So now you're receiving rental income in theory for qualifying to offset that mortgage payment. And now you're only qualifying for the new mortgage and your other debts, your car loans, student loans, things like that. Ricardo has 3 ADUs all in one lot. Ricardo, I will have blueprints ready. What rate can you get me? I love that. Goes straight to the interest rate. Ricardo, we have a lot of questions for you before we can quote your rate. So DM us, reach out, and we're happy to have that conversation with you. I'm not trying to skirt the question. It's just I can't truly give you a rate without having more information.
A lot of people wanted to know what you specifically do during this thing. I was going to start trying to tell them that you just do most of the lot clearing.
I specifically, yes, I operate the excavator.
And she frames pretty good.
I'm a really good framer. I'm actually more the finished carpenter style person. Mike's the framer. We make a really good combo, but he hates it when I go into the house after he's done framing because I have a really detailed eye and things drive me crazy. But we're a really good combo team. What can my DTI be for building? 55% up to, what was that, $1 million? Over $1 million, it has to be 50% debt to income ratio. How long of a work history I need once I'm done with contract in the Army to get a home loan? Figueroa, you don't necessarily need a work history. We could potentially even close a new loan with an offer letter for a job you haven't even started yet if you have a history in that field. So like if you're going into security and you get a job that guarantees your pay as a security officer, obviously in the military, you have history of doing similar work. You could use that job before you even start that job. If you were a mechanic in the military, you're going to be a mechanic after you get out. If you were a helicopter mechanic and you go to work for General Dynamics on a contract, or excuse me, on a salary, we can use that salary before you even actually start that job. So it just depends on what kind of employment and how the pay is structured. I don't really do TikTok. What is your number? Oh, Ricardo. Here, I'm going to take a screenshot of your information.
Just, I put my email address in there. Just put your email address in there and have them send you.
Okay, I'll put I don't even know how to put my email address in here. How do I type in here? Oh, it's because I'm in the other.
It's here. I'll
Mike's going to put my email address or our website. Yes, website. He's going to do the website as well. Website is VALoanBish.com or veteranslendinggroup.com. But then you have to kind of go find us on veteranslendinggroup.com. So VALoanBish will take you directly to my page. I don't like putting my phone number on here because a lot of I'm so busy. I'm in meetings all the time because we also run Veterans Lending Group. We run the company. And so if we're running the company and we're in meetings all the time, then people get upset that I don't get back to them right away. And then I get thousands of phone calls and it's just really hard to keep up. So I can't put my phone number on TikTok. I'm so sorry. Javon, do you have a POC in Houston? Javon, we have POCs that are able to lend all across the country. We do have some folks in Texas, not in Houston, but in San Antonio and Schertz and Killeen. So let us know, and we'll make sure that we get you somebody who's licensed in Texas. I have land in Florida. My VA loan on a house that I'm converting into a rental. Tenants will move in on the 1st. Perfect. So yeah, you would be a great candidate for the VA one-time close because if you're converting it into a rental, you don't actually have to do it prior to closing on your construction loan. We just qualify you as if you're converting it into a rental. The website, Mike's going to put the website on here, you guys, so it should be there.
It's already there.
Oh, that's weird. I don't see it. Okay, well, I'm sure it's coming. What length of time is the soft pre-approval good for? 60 days. If we don't find something acceptable in a time frame, can we get another one to back? Yeah, you guys, a lot of people ask what the expiration date is on a pre-approval. Technically, there's really not. It's 90 days, and then we have to update your credit report. And then we just ask you, has anything major changed, right? Really, it's good as long as there's nothing major that's changed. And when I say major, I'm talking about, did you quit your job? Did you lose your job? Did your pay go down? Did your pay go up? Did you take out another auto loan? Did your credit card debt jump up? You know, did you have a negative late on your negative, a credit late that reported on your credit report? Those are all major things. Otherwise, yeah, we can re-update your pre-approval letters. Not really a problem at all. Distance between Montana and Northwest Florida. I asked, the 4 Tiggers. So it's funny. I grew up in Bozeman, Montana. So Mike and I have been looking at land up in Montana to, you know, maybe spread our wings. And we also love Florida. So we're going to have a hard time. We won't leave Florida, but Montana's great. And the distance between Montana and Northwest Florida is a 4-day drive in an RV. That's what I know. 4.5 day drive in an RV. Mileage. What is the mileage, Michael? Montana to Florida.
Oh, shit. Somewhere around 2,000.
2,000 miles.
To anywhere I want to be in Montana.
Was like Bozeman or Kalispell.
I'm not trying to be in eastern Montana.
Not Billings. Sorry, Billings. We have a lot of friends in Billings, but...
Billings, you know what you are.
But we don't want to be in Billings. Thank you guys for sending your info on the website. You guys, we will get back to you as quickly as possible. Be patient with us. North Dakota is 2,100 miles. Yes. Okay. Neuromancer. That sounds right. North Dakota. Not Dakota. Can you qualify with just disabled income only, Chantel? For VA loans, yes, you can. Absolutely. It just depends on where you are, what the purchase price is, what you're trying to finance, what other debts you have. Do you have car payments, student loans, credit cards? Website is on the bio. Yes, Neuromancer, the website is on the bio. Yes, sir. Bright Smiles, thanks for joining. I don't see the website. Why don't I see your comment on here?
I wonder if it keeps getting blocked or something, man. I don't know.
Do you guys see the website? Did Mike put it up there? Do you guys see it up there? I mean, it's really strange.
Yeah, I was pinning it. I probably put it up 10 times.
The website is in my bio. So where do you find my bio? Okay. With a V saying no, they don't see it. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I wonder if it was being blocked out or something for some reason.
Well, here, let me just do this. Since you guys are all there and you can see my screen, if you go.
There you go.
www.VALoan, like loan, BISH, bish. I know it's funny. It's lame. It's, we wanted to be fun and different. No, yeah, he thinks it's blocked. So VALoanBish, this is where you guys should find yourselves. This is my website. And then when you get here, you can see this get pre-approved button, right? You click that. It's going to take you to this place. And this is our loan application point of sale system. So that should help you guys be able to find the loan application. And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete the application. Mike also has a website, thank you with a V, and it is VA Mike Drop. What did I say it was yesterday?
Oh, I don't even remember.
And go to Mike's page too, because, what the hell? Wait, hold on. I didn't say VA Mike Drop. But that looks like, there's something going on there. Uh-oh.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
On your page, you should show them where that they can schedule time to just connect with us and get a little.
Is that working?
Oh, yeah, it should be working.
Sorry, we were just rebuilding our website pages so that, do you guys have programs where we collaborate on leads? Andre, I don't know. It depends on what kind of leads. You'll have to reach out to us and let us know what you're looking at. We do collaborate with real estate agents because we like to control what real estate agents our clients work with. We want to make sure our clients work with good real estate agents who are going to follow through, who are going to care about our clients and take care of all of them and do what's best for them and not what's best necessarily for the paycheck. And I'm not saying that all real estate agents are like that, but there are a lot of real estate agents out there like that. There are a lot of loan officers out there like that. Suggest to open Word and increase the font size so people can see it on phone. Are you talking about the website? Like here, if I go like this? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm on okay, here, VALoanBish.com. And it is in the profile of TikTok. So if you click on my face, it will take you to my profile, but VALoanBish.com. And then if you get here, the landing page, obviously the upper toolbar is going to show you this. You can click get pre-approved. You can email. And then you can also schedule a time to talk to us and schedule an appointment. So we have literally back-to-back meetings all day, every day. So we squeeze you guys in between those back-to-back meetings, and then we go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night Can you buy land and build if you already have a VA home loan? Yes, you can. Yep. The VA website, or the website is VALoanBish.com. Yes, you can absolutely buy land and build if you already have a VA home loan. It just depends then on how much entitlement you have left, right? So if you've already used $250,000, then at that point, the county loan limit is going to come into play, and we have to look at the county loan limit. The county loan limit in most states in the country is $766,550 for VA loans. So let's say that you're in a typical county loan limit, not a high cost area, okay? Then if you've used $250,000 of your VA loan, you have left, I'm going to show you my calculator so you guys can see how I'm calculating this. So $766,550 minus the $250,000, you have roughly $516,550 left, zero down. Okay. Now you still have to credit income qualify, but that's your VA loan entitlement. If you do not have a VA loan outstanding at the time that we close on your construction loan. So if you have a VA loan now, but you're going to sell that house, or you have a VA loan now, but you're going to refinance it into a conventional loan and release your VA loan, you can do that one time in the history of using your VA loan to free up your loan entitlement. Then you can go over the county cap and there's no limit. You could buy a $5 million house, zero down with your VA loan. If you're building, again, we have to get an exception if we go over $2 million. Thank you guys. I just emailed you, reach out when available. Yep, we will do that. We've got some meetings tomorrow, but we're going to try and get caught up in between. Current mortgage is $500,000. Okay, so for you, Bulldogs, where are you? Where would you be building? What part of the country? What county and state is what I need to know. And if you guys, Massachusetts. Okay, so let me show you something on my website as well. So if you're on the website, the resources tab will show you, there's the get pre-approved button. There's a VA mortgage calculator that actually calculates the VA funding fee included in this, which most mortgage calculators do not. And then there's this tab, VA county loan limits. Okay, this is what we're talking about right now is county loan limits. What's the maximum entitlement that you have left? Oh, and that page is not found. Good Lord. They keep changing. So VA county loan limit, I'm Googling, I'm going old fashioned. The problem is be very careful because the first thing that comes up is Veterans United's website. Okay. And Veterans United, as much as they like to think that they're Bible when it comes to VA loans, they are not. Mike and I used to work for Veterans United years ago. So we're very familiar. But you're going to look for the .gov, which is usually the second one down because Veterans United comes up in their ad section. So the second one down is the .gov website, and that's going to show you the county loan limits. So when you get to this page, you go down to this hyperlink, and it's going to, I'm going to click on it. It's going to pull up documents for the 2024 conforming loan limit. I'm going to open the PDF document, and this is where I'm going to see the county caps for VA loans. They follow the Fannie and Freddie Mac conforming loan limits. So you said Worcester, I think it was Worcester County. So we're going to go to Worcester County, Mass, and see what the county cap is. I don't know my alphabet. Hold on just a second. Let's see here. Massachusetts, show yourself. Once we get there, we can see what the county caps are for VA loans. Now, you're going to always go off of the 1 unit county cap for VA loans. So once you get there, good Lord, really? There's so many M states in the United States. Okay, so Worcester County is $766,550. So for you, you would have $266,550 left if you had already used $500,000. Okay, if you were in Nantucket County, that's a $1.1 million. Is that where like Martha's Vineyard is? Or Dukes County? Is that like, is it Providencetown? Yeah, so those areas are going to have higher cost areas. Prince George's County, Montgomery County, those all have higher cost areas. But you can see the majority of them are 766. You might not actually be able to see, but let me get closer. You can see the majority of them are 766,550. So this list, it goes by county and state, right? So here's the state, here's the county. That's how we calculate what your remaining entitlement is, or we would pull your certificate of eligibility to get the finite calculation. Have you worked with people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area recently? Yes. Yeah, we actually have buyers right now that are in Fort Worth shopping, and they've made multiple offers on houses, and they're seeing sellers negotiating right now. They're seeing sellers come down on home prices and also offer to pay closing costs, which is really cool. Which we're seeing in a lot of different parts of the country for VA loans. VA loan limit in LA County. Yep, that one's a little higher. So let's go to LA County. Cali, LA County is 1.149 million. So if you had a $500,000 house in LA County, you would have 649,825 left, right? How come the VA doesn't cover barn dominiums? Darby, we do. Where have you been? Have you been on this live the whole time? We do cover barn dominiums. Some lenders might tell you no, but we do offer barn dominium financing for VA loans. Absolutely. Is it single? Is it still single if to build a quadplex? Yes, it is. Still goes off the 1 unit limit. This is stupid. I don't know why. These guys have been doing this for years, but VA goes off of the 1 unit. Fannie, Freddie, and FHA will go off of the 2, 3, 4 unit, but VA only goes off of the 1 unit because, again, with VA, there is no cap if you're not currently using your VA loan. So you could go $5 million, zero down using your VA loan, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit. The county cap only comes into play if you have an outstanding VA loan. So can I take a separate loan for the difference for construction? Bulldogs, what we would probably do is you'd have a down payment requirement, right? So if you have $200,000 left and you go to $600,000 on your bill, that means you have a gap of $400,000 that you have to pay, right? So the VA requirement is 25% of the difference would have to be paid as a down payment. So if it's $400,000 gap, you only have to bring in $100,000. Now I know I'm saying only $100,000, but then you could take out a home equity loan or home equity line of credit and still use your VA loan, bring the $100,000 in, and have a VA loan, which is better for you because when rates drop, you're going to want to IRRL your loan, your underlying VA loan. You're going to want to be able to refinance that with an interest rate reduction refinance loan, which is no appraisal, no income qualifying, no assets, and it's the easiest refinance that's out there. So I'd like to still see if there's a way to get you a VA loan versus going conventional or something else. But as a backup, conventional is an option, and so would FHA. You could go FHA 3.5% down on a new construction. Then we just have to deal with the county loan limits for FHA. Conventional are the same county loan limits as you see on here. So you could go up to 766, 550 conventional with 5% down. The guidelines are just a little more restrictive with conventional loans. Do we lend in Tennessee? We lend in all 50 states, you guys. All 50 states. The only state that we're not doing the one-time close custom construction loan is in Alaska. But otherwise, we are lending in all 50 states plus Puerto Rico. Is it higher for multi-units in LA County? No, not on VA. Only on conventional. Yeah, it's the 1 unit limit. I was told, Darby, for my region in South Georgia, they wouldn't do it. How do I get around this? Well, Darby, whoever told you that was telling you what they could do. That mortgage company, not us, not other mortgage companies. So you guys always have to keep in mind, when you hear an answer from a mortgage company that says, no, you can't do something, get a second opinion from a mortgage team like ours that underwrites directly to the VA handbook. Because we don't have VA overlays except for on our specialty loan products. So like the one-time closed construction loan, we do have some overlays. There's credit score requirements, whereas regular VA loans don't have a credit score requirement. But we do not overlay our regular VA loans. We go directly off of the VA handbook. Darby, whoever told you you can't do a barn dominium in your region of Georgia just means that they can't do a barn dominium in your region of Georgia. So getting around that is working with a different company that does allow barn dominium financing. Space Monkey, how can I waive the VA funding fee? The only way that you can waive the VA funding fee, this is VA's true fee. It's their fee for doing the loan. We cut a check to them at closing. It goes directly to the VA. The only way to get around that is if you are a Purple Heart recipient or you have a 10% or higher VA disability rating. Those two things will waive the VA funding fee. Do you guys work in East Allen County, Indiana? Yes, Catherine. We work all over Indiana. We work in all 50 states. I currently have a mortgage of $350 on my current house with a VA loan. Can we build with VA? Yes, you can, Joshua. Yep. So we just have to look at how much entitlement do you have left. So depending on where you want to build, This is what we're looking at right here, these county loan limits in the states that you want to build. So Joshua, since, oh, you told me Rutherford County. Okay, let's look. So if you're going to build in Rutherford County, Tennessee, I'm pretty sure it's 766, 550 there. Rutherford is, oh, it's actually higher. You must be in Nashville area. 943,000. So if you've used 350, you have 593,000 left. Zero down. Now you can still go over that amount. Let's say you go to 750. Okay. You have zero down up to 593, but you're going to go to 750 because that's what your budget. So there's $150 to $7,000 is the difference. You only have to make up 25% of the difference, which is $39,250, not $3 million. I can move the decimals because I'm just used to doing this math. It's $39,000 would be your down payment to go to 750. I think that's why I said 750. So that's how that math works. Okay, you're welcome, Darby. Absolutely. Do you have, how do you find out how much entitlement you have left? That is the VA certificate of eligibility. So, and I think the presentation I did for you guys tonight was like the shortened version because it's really weird. We had it queued up earlier today and it was my longer version of the PowerPoint. Let me see if I have the COE in this version, but for some reason, oh yeah, you know, I cut it short because I don't know why. So I did kind of short you guys. Sorry, I apologize for that. But the certificate of eligibility, I'm going to go there so you can see what it looks like. Your eligibility for this loan program is you have to have served a minimum of 90 days active duty or 180 days during active duty during peacetime, 90 days active duty during wartime, and served at least 2 years, right? If you served less than 2 years and you had like a discharge that was other than medical, you probably don't qualify for your VA loan. If you're reserves or National Guard and you served at least 6 years or 90 days active under Title 10 or Title 32 orders, you would qualify. So the COE, this is the certificate of eligibility. This is how we determine how much entitlement you have left. Okay. So as you can see on this one, this particular COE is in Pennsylvania. The property was in Pennsylvania. The original loan amount was $300,000. The date of the loan was 2016. The entitlement that was charged to that loan was $75,000. So what we do is we do some math on this, reverse engineer it. I'll show you the math real quickly. It's confusing, but basically $75,000 left, right? So if you're buying in a county where it's 766, 550 is the loan limit, the VA's guarantee is 25% of that. So 191,637. So I take that 191,637 minus the 75,000. This is the entitlement that you have left zero down, and I have to multiply it times 4. That's the amount that you have left zero down. I can also do quick math on that and do the same thing by just going, okay, you bought 6 at 300,000, 766, 550 minus 300,000. You have roughly 466, 550. That's the quick math. You can't see my calculator, but I came up with very similar numbers. So that's kind of how we look, but it has to be your original loan amount, including your, now they're including VA funding fees. VA just changed that. So it has to be original loan amount, including your VA funding fee. So that would be the new math, the easier math. So that's how you can kind of get an idea how much entitlement you have left. What is your company's credit score requirements? Catherine, we do not have credit score requirements on regular VA loans. We do not have a minimum credit score requirement on a regular VA loan. So a construction loan, you have to have a minimum of 620 to buy land and build using your VA loan. But just a regular VA loan is no credit score requirement. We follow the VA guidelines. The VA guidelines don't state that there's a minimum credit score, but you do have to have 12 months of on-time payments for your car loans, student loans, credit cards, all that stuff. And you have to have paid your rent on time for 2 years. Or we have to be able to get an automated loan approval for you. So that's how they calculate, that's how they qualify you credit-wise from the VA perspective. And we don't overlay the benefit. So we underwrite directly to the VA handbook, the way that VA wrote the guidelines. Okay, guys, well, reach out, DM us if you want any more of the information on the one-time close. What are the current rates to buy land with a VA? 800 credit score. So let's see, where can I go to see the classes you have for realtors? Andre, we don't have those posted yet. We're working on our education website. We just rebuilt our entire website. So we're working on that. But you can DM us and we will get you connected with our education department so that you can go and look at what they have coming up, and we can determine where you physically are. So like, I know we're teaching in San Antonio, we're teaching the MRP class for Sabre. This is our company website here, veteranslendinggroup.com. This is our company. And we do have some other resources on there. We have an education tab. I just don't know that we have our real estate education on there yet for realtors, but we do have our upcoming classes for upcoming education events. We do have a schedule and calendar on here. And this is Adam, our good buddy. He's he's prior service Navy, and he's an educator, a full-time educator with us. And he's one of the guys that travels and teaches to our military families. And this is our live calendar here. So there is a real estate agent class here. It looks like, so you can watch that. It almost looks like that's on demand. So, but reach out if you guys want to get more education and more information. And the credit score, as far as current rates, Josh, so the construction loan rates are going to change daily. And those are going to be based off of, hold on just a second. I think I have to stop my Be Live as well. So let me stop my live class here. I think I've ended that actually. I'm off. Okay, hold on. I've ended that class. Let me get in. I've got to actually see. 2, 6, 5, 1, 8, 4. So interest rates typically on these, they're going to be they're always going to be a little bit higher than your regular VA rate. And the reason for that is it's a custom construction loan, and most lenders don't even have this program. So today, if I was going to look and see what that rate looks like, I got to move my phone, you guys, it's in my way. Okay. VA 30-year fixed for a 1-year term. You can get 7.125 for a cost of 0.975 of the loan amount. You can do closest to par, or par interest rate is really 7.6. So if you're trying to go, and that's with a 680 credit score. So they could be a lower rate with higher credit score. On a 9-month build, you're looking at 7% is a cost of 1. You can buy it down to 6.5, but I just don't know if it makes sense. Now, here's the thing: if you do pay to buy it down, you can actually translate that into your modified rate. So when we modify your loan after the house is 100% completed, construction is 100% done, we're going to modify the loan, right? At that time, we're going to float you down to the lower interest rate if rates have dropped. If you paid 2 points to lock in the first initial rate, and we're modifying you, you get that 2 points towards that new lower interest rate. Because if there's a lower rate, we're going to float you down for free at the time of modification. So this program's, I mean, it's really incredible from that perspective. Avilio, own land, current market 260, want to build a 450 house, similar comps are 850. Would that just go to equity? Yes, you wouldn't be able to, you could use that money to pay for your closing costs, to include your closing costs in the build. You could use that money to actually pay off debt. You can actually pay off debt in a custom construction. So if you have some equity and you want to pay off a credit card or an auto loan or something like that, you could roll that into your total cost to build and finance that into your construction loan. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that. I'm just not sure. We can run the numbers and see if that makes sense. V, thank you for the reminders. I appreciate that. I appreciate your reminders. They're very helpful. You get so busy focusing on questions. Thank you. You're welcome, Andre. We appreciate you being here. Please reach out. We're happy to get you more information. What's the website again? It's VA, like Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, Victor Alpha, Loan, LOAN, Bish, BISH.com, VALoanBish.com. I paid $85,000 for my house, so 25% is what I use on my VA loan. Yes. Yep. No answer, that would be correct. So 25% of roughly 85,000 should be what your current entitlement is charged. But basically for you, I would just use the 85,000 plus your VA funding fee, which was probably 2.15% if you paid it, if you had a VA funding fee. So 102.15. So your loan amount was probably 86,827. So 86,827 subtracted from 766,550. So you have 679,723 left, roughly. Zero down. Oh, sweet, you're back. Working on pre-approval, should be 580 next month. Oh, that's awesome. Good for you. How can I guess what I'll get approved for? Itsy Bitsy, have you completed a loan application with us? I can't remember. If you have completed a loan application with us already, then we can kind of tell you that based on a conversation. If you haven't, then we need to have your loan application created. I love to give, guesstimates, but unfortunately, you guys, it doesn't give you a whole lot of fair information. So, yeah, so get the application completed. If you already have it completed, I'm sorry, I'm, looking at these TikTok handles, so I can't tell. They're not real names. You said you haven't. Okay. So then if you haven't completed it, go online and complete that application, and then we can give you an idea of what you're going to qualify for. I mean, your credit score doesn't matter, right? It's your credit history. So with VA loans, you don't have to have a certain credit score. You have to have, no late payments in the last 12 months. And then on-time rent. Will they set a max DTI for me? Yes. They'll set a qualifying limit for you, right? It's not a max DTI necessarily. We use the max DTI to tell you this is how much your max qualifying power is. So if you want a loan officer, if you want to be connected with a loan officer that's lending or approved and has been doing originating in Savannah, just reach out to us. You can DM me, or you can go to the website, veteranslendinggroup.com or VALoanBish. What are some pros I can tell clients to go with you over other lenders? Andre, I think we've closed more VA loans in the last 20 years than any other lender besides Navy Fed, Veterans United, and USAA. Our team, we're the #1 VA loan team at Cross Country Mortgage, and Cross Country Mortgage is the #1 lender in the country, retail lender in the country. So we're the #1 VA team and have been for 6 years at Cross Country Mortgage. 90% of the loans we close are VA loans. 65% of our staff are prior service or active duty spouses. And we've been teaching military families since 2007, 2008 now. So VA loans is what we do. And we just have so much more experience than other lenders because this is what we focus on all day, every day. So I would say those are the main selling points. Oh, and then we work for a mortgage company that does not overlay the VA benefit. So we don't limit our veterans' ability to use their VA loan benefit. So we're very aggressive when it comes to that. Good night with a V. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Nicole is $28,000 charge off and past of a car that was stolen. Oh, that sucks. No, we've done many loans for veterans with charge-offs, repossessions, charge-offs, bankruptcies, foreclosures, short sales, all of those things. You can imagine, military families and any first-time home buyers. Like we get a lot of people who are just going through it, life shoe, and that kind of stuff happens. So it's not a hard stop. Absolutely not. First-time home buyer, 90% disabled, but haven't lived on my own for 12 years, so no rental history. That's okay. You don't always have to have rental history, Navy brat. It just depends on your credit, your total credit package, right? So if you don't have major credit challenges, then you don't necessarily have to have credit history. For some reason, I thought you were in Florida, but you're in Colorado. No, we're in Florida. We're in Florida physically, but we have locations in Colorado. We have locations in Washington. We have locations in Boise, Idaho. We have locations in Fayetteville and Clarksville and Delaware and San Antonio, Shirts Clean, Texas. So we're all over the country. Mike and I are physically in Florida, but we actually started Veterans Lending Group. We're two of the founders of Veterans Lending Group. We started it in 2015 after we left Veterans United Home Loans, where we opened a location in Washington State. So we get around, but we moved to Florida because we were in Washington for 20-something years, but we grew up in Montana. So that's where we met, was in Montana. So we're excited to be able to see Montana again. We miss it there. All right, you guys, I'm going to go for tonight. We will be back live again tomorrow night and Thursday night. So we go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Usually we start around 8 o'clock Central Standard. If you follow us, you will get a notification that we are going live. This class tonight for the VA one-time close should be on YouTube. So if you came late, you didn't get to hear it all, we will post it on YouTube. We will make sure that we put that out on TikTok so you guys can see how to get there. YouTube is still recording, by the way. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to log back in and figure that out with a V. So I appreciate that because who knows what that would continue to record this evening. So I'm going to go and get out of that. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Oh, I see that. Yes. Hi, guys. Good night. Thanks, guys, for being here. We appreciate you. Have a good evening, and we will see you tomorrow.